How's everyone doing today? Today is Sunday, March 14th, halfway through March. We got one more day, then we're halfway through. And then you have April, where your taxes are due, so make sure you get on top of that. We have 10 stocks for you. Now, I think, looking at the list, 4 or 5 of them I've called before, and then 3 or 4 I've called once, and then some new ones. And so, some people are like, why does he call the same ones pretty often? Well, the reason is I built a relationship with these stocks, and as you get to watch the same tickers over and over and over and over again for weeks and weeks, there's no point leaving them, right? If you know when they hit a good deal, you buy back in, right? We're swinging. We're going to go for one big move up, let it come back down, get back in for a big move up. And so a few of these you may recognize, a few you're not going to, and a few are going to be brand new to you. This channel itself is dedicated to beginners and intermediate traders. If you're a beginner, then you go on the TikToks, if you go on the Twitters, on the Facebooks, on the YouTubes, and you're like, how's this dude, or how's my favorite YouTuber picking these stocks, right? Now, 9/10 of them are going to pick off a hype, and they're going to pick the ones that get the most clickbait, everyone else, right? So I wouldn't be too concerned with that. But the people who you really enjoy, who actually have in-depth knowledge and concepts of this, they're going to use technical analysis or fundamental analysis. Now, this channel is dedicated to technical analysis because I do fundamental analysis for my Discord people and stuff like that. But I'm going to show you all the supports, resistances, patterns, trend lines, all the volume profiles going to be on here. You got RSI, stochastic, all the things you want to have. I'll show you what they see in theory, what they should see, and then how you can play off of that. Intermediate traders, if you're really good at what you do, you still need to diversify, right? If you're not diversified, if you have 12 stocks, but they're all in the same exact index and they're all technology stocks, you bought an ETF. Like, congrats, you really just did more work to then lose all your money last week and the week before that. If you have 2 stocks and it's 50-50, again, you're gonna need to diversify, right? You can make plenty of money off GameStop. You can make plenty of money off CCIV, but you can also make even more, if not way better and consistent money off of mid-cap stocks. If you compare the Russell 2000 to the S&P and to the QQQ right now, you'll see the Russell 2000 has, over the last 8 months, has been destroying, right? So why not focus that index, right? If that were a tank, we'd switch it up. So with that being said, if you enjoy this content, please like, subscribe, hit the bell notification. You can always, be up to date on the updates that I have every single day, Sunday through Thursday is a new video for you. And you can see all the all the watch lists that we do, all the education that we do, all the great stuff on here. You can be up to date on it. If you enjoy this content enough, if you like a guy with pink hair and freshly shaven eyebrows and a pretty sick Hawaiian shirt screaming at you about stuff, check out the Discord, right? I'm offering a 7-day free trial. I have maybe 25-30 spots left open until I close off the first one, and I'm open up a second one later on. So you want to really get in on it, check it out. My Discord name will be at the end of this intro. You can add me, message me. I'll give you 7 days, no credit card information. Check it out, right? If you'd like just having me on here, if you like having me in the screen screaming at you, that's great. That's a relationship that we're going to have. That's fine. If you want to get to know me better, get to know the community better, add me. No big deal. No pressure. Not one of those guys who's like, you must join to save your life and no one else can. No, there's plenty of other great YouTubers out there, plenty of other great swing and day traders and scalping traders, right? That should just be one person in your journey in education. You should definitely go look at other people and educate yourself as much as possible, right? The goal isn't to make you suckle on my teat of knowledge and then have no one else in your disposal, right? You should have 10, 15, 20 folks you guys watch religiously and learn who you want to learn from, right? So I'm not the perfect guy for everybody, but for some folks, I'm exactly what you're looking for. With that being said, I have 10 really good takers today, and then some extras that I've called before that are still relevant. And so let's get through these first 10 for beginners. Again, before every single title and every single ticker, there's going to be a nice screen of the stonk icon like, right? Google it, go on TradingView, go on TOS, whatever you use to track your stocks, and do it yourself. I want you to put the supports, resistances, any kind of trend line you see, what kind of pattern you see, and then turn up and turn on your indicators. I use RSI, EMA lines, stochastic, and vortex. I want you guys to look at your own and see what you guys see, right? And then when you watch me go through it, you'll see what, how close you are and stuff. Then I'll show you how close on track you are. So again, with no further ado, no more long tangents, let's get into it. So above me, as always, we have poop. Now, I'm very, very superstitious with sports and other things. If poop's been good to us, this has been good to us. We're not going to change the name. Some folks are like, why don't you change it? You're more popular. No. Poop has been good to us. We're going to keep it that way. Beneath it is this week's calls, you idiot. These are other good ones. Again, this list had a different purpose, but since we've named it this, we've been on a streak. We're not going to change it now. So if you're a beginner, these first 10 are what you want to focus. And by focus, I don't mean buy all 10 tomorrow. That's stupid. You should buy 1 or 2 if you like them. If they hit your targets, you should buy 1 or 2 of them and slowly integrate. Intermediate traders, any of these on here, any of these 2 lists here, you can realistically make some money off of for sure. But with that being said, let's look at our first one. So first is ADVM. Now we can see that it's a beautiful channel right now. And is this going to last forever? Absolutely not. This will break up or break down, and that's why we have proper risk management. We can see over here, we make it look real nice. If you don't know what this red dotted line is, this right here is your volume profile line. This is the highest area of volume. This is where a lot of consolidation happens. As we can see, it goes back and forth off of this line, and we're beneath it. It's very gravitational, but it's also a very strong resistance. So it's going to be a give and take, right? We're below it. It should really pull us up to it, but then again, it should stop us if we can't get above it. That's kind of why it gaps up above it. See how it hits and gaps it? You see how it comes down and taps it? So this is going to be a hard line to get above. But here's the best part. That's a good 10% away, baby. Woo, that's some free money. So right now you're risking maybe 4 or 5% at most. And again, you could definitely risk 3 or 4 and be just fine. If it doesn't live, just buy back in. It's showing some life down here. That's really good. You're probably also thinking, what's down here? What are these lines for? We can zoom out and we can see that this is a long-term uptrend. Higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low. So is it perfect? No, you can see how over here, you're like, well, it's no longer higher lows. Well, in the grand scheme of things, until we get down below 736, we're still seeing higher lows. And then over here, 964, higher lows. So we're getting really close to that not being true. So again, it consolidates right here. You can see historically, consolidate, consolidate, consolidate. And it usually goes up. So it's a really good sign long term. It has had earnings, so it's definitely coming down and showing some life. Could it see 977? Oh, sure. Could it see $5? Sure, it has. So let's not fall in love and get emotional and be like, this is such a great setup, because it is. But again, this was definitely a huge earnings sell-off. But we can easily see 10. And if a full move happens over a long period of time, close to 35%, that's a good 6 to 1, 7 to 1, 10 to 1 in a perfect scenario. Risk versus reward. So ADVM, I like it a lot. Let's check out the indicators. So it's super dope about my channel, minus me, because I'm definitely the main event of all YouTube, right? You have PewDiePie, he looks up to me and stuff, and I'm kidding. So we can see that I do not look at the indicators while I scan. When I find these stocks, it's based off price action alone. I do not scan off RSI. I don't look through my list based on Vortex. I 100% look at price action. So what you're going to see me go through is what I'm seeing the first time looking at these, which is really cool for you to see how I see it. So let's start with the EMA lines. We can see it definitely respects the 50 a lot. It respects the 200 a lot. So these are both going to be resistances moving forward. If you want to wait for a crossover, you certainly can, but you will see there are fake outs, right? We crossed above, fake out, right? We crossed above both, fake out. So again, there's definitely money to be made when you get above the 50 and hold. But again, this is definitely not a surefire way for a crossover. You can, but seeing as it's about 10% away, our goal should be in $12 anyways, right? We can get here, hit 12 bucks, get in, get out, bing, bang, boom. That's fine. So you want to wait for a crossover, you certainly can, but you're going to give up a lot of your reward, and then you're going to risk a breakout or a fake out. That's going to really hurt when that happens. RSI does get oversold, but it's been horizontal. So again, it's a really good representation of where it is, and you can see if I put my cursor right about here, right, that looks pretty good, even more about there. We see a lot of the action reverses right about that area, even a little bit higher. A lot of it reverses right about here. And that's where we're at. So again, we're in that reversal zone. Stochastic is pointing south, and again, it did have a green day, but you can see probably pushed up to then just kind of go south a little bit. So it is, it's definitely towards the bottom of the stochastic, which is really good. You kind of want to be a little bit, maybe a tiny bit lower. Then you want to wait for it to go green, but the vortex also recently bottomed out super low right over here, and now it's showing some life. So we have plenty of room to run up, plenty of stuff looking great for it. 9 out of 10. You wish the stochastic was at the bottom. You wish that RSI was at the bottom. You wish that vortex was at the bottom. So like maybe 4 or 5 days ago would have been an 11 out of 10. Perfect. But ADVM, given all those circumstances, tomorrow this week needs to be your guys' watch list. So ALVR, we've played multiple times. last time we called those over here, I said, hey, it looks pretty good. And it shot up literally like 25% in one day. And everyone's like, he's a genius. And it's like, I'm just lucky. And so we can see it's at the POC again, right? This is where a lot of consolidation happens. We're below it. But again, this is going to pull us up technically. A lot of action stops and starts in this area. And that's where we're at. So are we risking possibly breaking down? Hell yeah. If we get down to like 24.62, that makes it a lot better for a horizontal play. And of course, down here, this lowest volume line, so in between these two brackets where 70% of volume happens, we get down here, again, it's a better deal. But right here is still a very strong support. And again, the whole game is risk versus reward. We can see a clear support right in this area. And again, you may need to draw your own. Okay, draw your own. Can I delete it? Probably not. This is what 2S does sometimes. See, I can't delete it. If I were you, I would definitely draw my own. You can see a support line possibly down here. Okay, that's definitely a good area. You may even be saying yours is all the way down here. That's fine. Maybe yours is already up here. Now it's going to be the first resistance. Totally cool. What it comes down to, though, is that it's risk versus reward. Right in this area, if this line breaks to me, I lost 2-3%. I call it a day. But a price target, this whole area is going to be low volume. There's not much. That's why you see a lot of wicks and quick movement. This is low volume. If we can get a full push up here, easy 15%. And again, around 10%, even around here, around maybe 33, 40, I'd lock in a trailing stop loss, take my 7, 8, 9%, get in, get out, call it a day. So ALVR, again, you can see it had its little earnings call, it tanked, and it's showing some life. That's what you want to see. Now, do I think it's going to live? Sure. Do I know it's going to live? I don't. So I have to have a stop loss. But this looks really good. Let's check the indicators. So before we were playing off the 200 EMA line, that's why I did so well. And these are both very far away. So again, we can get to our price target before even hitting either one of them. So if it does take a while down here, yeah, you may want to wait for a crossover. But given that these are so far away, I wouldn't wait. RSI was oversold when they same exact price, so it's a really good sign. Stochastic is dummy low, but it's pointing south. You want to wait for it to kind of curl up. Not a terrible idea. And we can see that the vortex is stupid low. So again, do I think it's going to get much lower? I don't. I think a lot of folks are going to see the support area, see this consolidation, and think this is a good buy-in, and hopefully they go long. Now, if it does break, again, we can just have a stop loss. If it comes back, we buy back in, let it ride back up and get some momentum. If it does come down maybe like the 23s or even as low as the 21s, then we can buy back in with much more confidence. But ALVR is a really good pickup, a really good watch list item for this week. CMT, Country Music Television. I'm kidding. It's Core Molding Technologies. You know, I bet both are equally as entertaining. Burn. We can see, again, this great support area. And to go over this whole entire area, some really, really good trending up. And again, is it perfect? It's not. You can duplicate. You can see that before. You know, you could have argued it was going to be a channel, but now it's definitely not. It's much more of what looks like a broadening top that happened, right? This is definitely a past broadening top. And as soon as we did not hit this high, we can then see that now this is a null pattern. There's no pattern forming. All we have is the trend line. And so we're waiting to see what pattern it's going to form. We can also see that the support is extremely strong. And that's where it's at. It came down here. We can see that both these legs here shows indecision. We don't know which way it's going to go. But easily could see, you know, again, 10, 11%. And a lot of folks are probably thinking, why is the price target 8 to 15%? Well, because if this kind of market, we have violent swings, and we just broke above everything, let's ride it out, make some easy percentage, pattern stats, and then if it does come back down, we know we got in, we got out, bing, bang, boom. Last thing you want to do is get overconfident in your price target being 1438, and you get up to like here, and then all of a sudden, like it did the other week, right? You don't want to have that happen. So, lower price targets, you're trying to lock in profit as much as possible. We can see that it has had earnings, so again, it ran up, and now it's coming back down. And will this break? It definitely can. You got a dry own support line? You definitely do. Because we can definitely see it coming down maybe 5 or 6%. You can have your support line down here at $11. That's a very logical and strong support area. I think even better would probably be closer to $11.50. So I think it can get lower. Don't get freaked out if it does come down lower. But again, if with the earnings play, you want to wait for it to show some life, you want to see some green, then definitely go along or put on your watch list at least. CMT, let's check the indicators. Would you look at that? Right at the 200. That's gonna really bolster your support, and you can see it's trying to break above the 50. And as I say, when you get above the 50 and the 200, you have massive run-ups. If you want to wait for it to cross the 50 and then capture in this 5 or 6% move, you certainly can. I'm confident enough in this 200 EMA line that if it does come down a little bit farther, like 1150, and holds, that's a definite go for me. You can see on this run up, it doesn't get oversold very often, but what it does do is hits around 41.30, and then it does reverse around there. Yo, cats are funny. Stochastic is dummy low. Vortex is trying to hold green, but the Vortex is kind of consolidating. Again, this kind of movement, it's kind of doing one of these fluttering kick back and forth. So I'm not using that much as an indicator yet. But the Stochastic low, Vortex, the RSI is where you want it, and the price action looks good. CMT is a great pickup. Put in your guys' watch list. I've called COGT once, as over here, and it ran up exactly where you wanted it to go, and then it's come back down. Now, is this a pretty insane sell-off? Yeah, you could be like, well, it's not that big. Well, it's almost 32%, so it's been a pretty big hit. So it's a really good deal. It's right where you want it to be, and again, this is all based off risk versus reward. We can come over and see that this channel is beautifully set up. The POC is still above it, trying to pull it up. And again, what's the worst case scenario down here, right? If it does break, okay, you let it break, lose 2 or 3%, wait for it to come back up, buy back in. But this is a really good risk versus reward play. There is no trend line, okay? There is no other pattern form besides the horizontal pattern. So again, I wouldn't put all that much emphasis into anything else besides that. And is that what we usually go for? No, I usually like to see more than that. But the reward's pretty crazy. You know, even a modest move is 8%, a bad move is 8%, a good move is like 50. So definitely having your watch as we see a green day, like this thing does have, you know, a pretty crazy run up. You can definitely make your whole week, get in, do nothing but COGT that week, make your price target, and then relax. So it's a great pickup. Let's check the indicators. You can see what's keeping it down now. You can see that the 50 EMA line has been a real piece of work, hasn't it, right? If this can't get broken, you're not going to have that high of a price target. So even here, you can make 4% just tapping it, but that's not risk versus reward. You don't want to have losing 3 to make 4. That's stupid. And so if you can break the 50 and hold it, and the keyword is hold it, not for the day, but where it closes. And you can see multiple times here. It closed right next to it. I'm not confident. It closed right next to it. I'm not confident. It closed right here. Not confident. More confident than you had a good move of 5%. So if it can't hold above it with a noise green candle, I wouldn't put too much emphasis into that. But to wait for it to get above it and hold, not a terrible idea. RSI is concerningly fair. It's in the middle. And again, that makes sense of this huge sell-off to then kind of come up a little bit. It's fair. Stochastic's coming down, Vortex just cross-green. They're mixed up. So again, I would put all my emphasis into price action and the EMA lines. The indicators are switching around. Check your price targets. Do your due diligence with COGT for sure, because this can be very risky, but I think it's still a great pickup nonetheless. I like it a lot. So I don't know who it was, but one of you guys came and destroyed PSNL for me. Then one of you guys destroyed Surf for me. And now one of you guys have come and destroyed DOCU. And someone's going to catch this fade. And that's just how it's going to have to be. Someone's going to have to fess up and catch his hands. Because this was a beautiful channel that's now dead. No, I'm kidding. It's okay. So this is a very strong support area. Again, you must draw your own. What I would go off of, and this is me looking at it, that gap right there. This gap right here is what I go off of, making this a really low risk play. I'd give a little bit extra though, you know, give it a little bit, a little tidbit, right there. So we can see this is a really good support area. Consolidation's large across the board. We can see it just had earnings, so am I going to try and catch this falling knife? Hell no. But if it does show some life tomorrow, kind of consolidates here for the next few days, that's a great sign. If it does get down to like 193, yeah, you can definitely go ahead and mortgage your house and throw it at it. I'm kidding, don't do that. But we can definitely see that this is a really good support area. You can see if it does run up, 5, 6, 7, easy percent. This thing has huge swings both ways. It's pretty violent. It goes with the market. So the S&P is green. This bad boy goes ripping. If the S&P is red, this bad boy comes collapsing. And so definitely give it a day. Don't go in tomorrow and be like, it's perfect. No, if it does live here, okay, if it does live in the support area, it's really good. There's definitely a good trend up in some regard. Okay, but that's really weak. I'm not going to use that. So support-wise, it's really good. Wait for earnings to kind of clear. It did good. I mean, it didn't do terrible. Like, it did a little bit less than you would think, but it did okay. So let's give it a day or two. But let's check the indicators. And we can see, again, how EMA lines. And, some folks are Fibonacci nerds. They like to use the 89 and the whatever else the Tool songs talk about. And some folks like to use the 50 and then the 60. The 50 and 200 to me on this time scale of 180 is almost perfect, and I've not seen many other stocks be as perfect. SMA lines, again, has a whole different equation you got to look into. But you can see the EMA lines. 50, they can't get above it. 200, it couldn't get above it, right? These are perfectly lined up for this kind of stock. So you want to wait for a crossover. That's not a bad idea. The issue is you can see you're still downtrending. This is an obvious downtrend. Like anyone can see that it's an obvious downtrend, right? But it's also a broadening downtrend, which means that this broadening wedge will not last forever, right? This is not sustainable. We're not gonna. I don't think we're gonna come back down and see this come all the way down and do one of these. That's not really sustainable. So I think we may come down here, maybe down to this 191, and then come back. So again, keep that in mind watching this. But if we can get above the 50 and hold, like have an actual whole candle, like hold above it, that's much more confidence because then the 50 can be your stop loss. And that's all part of risk management right there. So RSI looks fair. These allergies are kicking my nose right now. It's pretty fair. I wish it could be lower, but it's not too bad. Stochastic's coming down. It does get lower, and the vortex cross red. So given those facts, I would definitely give it 2-3 days, but DOCU needs to be in guys' watch list for sure. So GOGO is a really beautiful setup. I called it on Thursday. So again, I'm not going to like harp on this, but obvious trend line up. All right, what's it doing? This is earnings. What's it doing? It's curtailing. It's like, oh shit, skirt. We're trying to see you do one of these little bad boys. It's a little bowl shaped. And it does that. See how it does it over here? This was a long time though. This was almost 25 days. So you get caught here, I would not be remiss or surprised. But we're still above the POC. So you can see a lot of consolidation here. We're above that. So again, it may come down here and that'd be terrible for this whole setup. But trend line's obvious. Lower low or lower highs are making a big old triangle. Maybe you're going to see your profit hit most 18, 17%. But with earnings happening, let it show us some light. But if it does turn around here, it's a 10 out of 10. Let's check the indicators. So again, it definitely did not break above and hold on the EMA lines, but every single time it gets above both, that's where you get your major moves at. So if you want to wait for it to cross over, you can. But given these super evident lower highs, where you're going to get 13, 12%, and you can definitely use these as your stop loss. So again, it's very viable. If you're a crossover kind of guy or a girl, that's a really good one to go for. But again, value, this trend line is also extremely strong. I would just go with that. RSI is low. Stochastic is dummy low. Vortex, again, could be a little bit lower. So it looks like maybe another 2-3 days of watching, but GOGO, if it lives here from this earnings report, is going to be a mega great deal. So NFE was one of my more quiet, really good winners last month, even during this tear month. I called it right about here, and I had a different trend line. It was like this, I think, if I remember correctly. And I was like, hey, this is pretty good. And then they ran up maybe like, what, 30%? So even in the red, we had some pretty good plays. Not bragging, just saying that was really cool to see. So we have earnings on the horizon. Okay, so you must do your due diligence. And this is a watch list show. I'm not saying go buy everything tomorrow. And you can see an obvious downtrend, but it's also a falling wedge. So again, do I think this may lead us down to the 35s? I do. This may lead us down to even as low as the 33s. It does. So this is a watch list program. This is a one to watch this week. I'm not saying go buy it tomorrow, but if we do see a run up, which is very possible, some folks may get some early warnings. This is going to be a good run up. Could easily see in the next 2 or 3 days a good 5-10% push up to hit the top of this falling wedge here, which is probably about here, hits up to here 12%, and then it dies. So if NFE does come collapsing down because of earnings, which it has done before, do not get that twisted. Even over here, it came collapsing down. If it does come down to the 35s, it comes down to the 33s, the 30s, then we have a mega great deal. So give NFE a day or two to really show its hand. Okay, we're not going to catch falling knives. It's still technically downtrending. But given the fact that it could really run up and then also collapse horde, we hit this, the 33s, could be a fantastic pickup. Let's check the indicators. So just like many other stocks, when it gets above the 50 and the 200, what's it do? Have its biggest run-ups. And so if you want to wait for a crossover, that's not stupid at all. Then again, I always say I like to buy value. I like to buy when it's at a good price target value and a good price action value. But if you like to wait for your set SMA, EMA, MA lines, you want to wait for it to get above both of those that go long for you, it's a great idea. RSI was just oversold logically, and now it's fair, but again, it could be compared to old action, it's definitely a little bit low. We can see the stochastic is still coming down. You want to see it kind of turn green, and the vortex wants to turn green as well. So again, this gives me a sign that we have maybe 3 days of running up until we hit the earnings date. And again, earnings this month has been absolutely brutal. So I would definitely give it a day or two, but NFE in the future, a great pickup. So PAGS, which is it's a weird name for a company, is a really nice uptrend. Now it does break once, all right, but this is off of earnings, so I'm not putting all that much weight into it. And again, someone would say this is a channel up. I wouldn't argue until we did our own research and see this is definitely not lining up. It's not lining up. It's not a channel. What this is, it looks like a broadening wedge, and I've been saying that much more often, given the fact that we had a huge run up these last months, and then a huge collapse. That leads to wedges usually. So we can see that this is once, twice, 3 times. 3 times is a pattern. Any moron can connect 2 lines, so it doesn't count. You can even come over here and say these 4 line up. You can even come over here and say these all line up. So again, this was a broadening wedge, and that's what you need to look out for. You can't cheat this. You cannot go ahead and say, I wanted it to be a channel, so I'm going to make it a... Shut up. That's not how this works. So this is definitely a broadening wedge that did not tap. This did not go up here. What's that mean? That over here, as my freezer turns on, good timing, we're looking for a new pattern to form. Is it going to be ascending? I don't know. Is it going to be descending? Is it going to be horizontal? Is it going to be a mix? We do not know. What we do have, though, is a really nice trend line up, and that's what we're going to play off of. There's no other pattern besides that, and that's still a really good indication. We have a really strong support line. Draw your own. Draw your own. You may yourself be thinking this is the support area I'm comfortable with. That's fine. You may be thinking that up here is a support line I'm comfortable with. You may be thinking there's a gap right here. I want to play off of this gap right there. That's great. Whatever you want to put it at, it's up to you. Mine's a little bit lower. I'm a very conservative trader. I like to have conservative setups so that I can be more aggressive when it actually appears and it actually gets to where I want it to be because I have such confidence. Worst case, Ontario, it breaks everything, you lose 5%. God forbid, right? But if you put 10% of your portfolio in one stock, 5% of 10% would be like what, 0.2 of your whole overall capital. God forbid, you'll be okay. We could also see running up. Your first real major resistance is somewhere in here. That's 8% away. Anywhere in here would be your first major resistance. A good move, 13. A great move, 20. If this is a long-term hold and you have confidence and that it goes, look at this, it goes consolidating, 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 ascension, consolidating, consolidating, ascension, consolidating, consolidating, what's going to happen? So again, the consolidation leads to big moves. If we have consolidation here, we may see a huge drop-off. Possible. We may see a huge run-up. Possible. That's why I have stop losses and risk versus reward already calculated in. So risking 5% to make 20 is a great move. You can see also earnings killed it. Usually after earnings, what to do? All right, it got earning killed here. What to do? It came back. Earnings killed it. What to do? Come back. So I like it a lot. Good setup. Let's check the indicators. So this is going to be a bit of a different setup. This is one where I would also argue that waiting for crossover may be the best option. And I'm not the kind of guy who usually says that. The 200's right above it. You can see it can't get above it. If you're going to buy in now, you're going to need to curtail your risk and your reward to that. You can see if it hits this at 2.28%, you can't risk 5%. That's a 0.5 risk versus reward. That's horrible. So you want to wait for it to get above the 200. I would fully agree with that. Now, you also see that it respects the 50 highly, and you may be caught in here. You may buy in and have it get caught between the two of these. If you get caught between the two of these, you're going to have consolidation, or it's going to be a very quick show of hand, where you put your stop loss here, you put your buy target, if you haven't bought in, buying right above here, and you go along and you're good to go. So it's interesting. Let's wait for a crossover. RSI is fair, stochastic is overbought, vortex is confused. Again, it's a bit confused where it wants to go. So I'd definitely give it a day or two to see what it's going to do. You cross that 200 and go long, great pickup. SPPI I have called before. Now I did not envision it doing this. All right, I mean, who knew? This has some pretty crazy price action. Like, what the hell is this thing? In one day, it ran up 22 and then also dropped 19. That's weird. So it is a pretty sporadic stock, but this POC is extremely strong. You can see a really nice little baby uptrend. You know, this lines up pretty well. Pretty baby nice uptrend. I like it. It's a good horizontal play. It's not the greatest. What I'm waiting for is this. And again, it's a watch list show. This earnings, I think, is going to gut it. I think it's not going to do very well. This thing crashes tomorrow or the next day and gets down to about 339. You pull the trigger. So SPPI, we're waiting on the earnings call. But the earnings call does go poorly, which I'm kind of hoping it does. And it drops it down to like 325. Oh man, what if it hit $3? Then we go long. So it's too high right now. You can see the resistance is right there. Yeah, let's wait. But if SPPI has a bad earnings call, we go long. I'm not going to do the indicators, but again, wait for that. This should be a really good pickup. Last of our good list is VG, Vonage Holdings. You can see this is a downtrend. Okay, ooh, downtrend. We don't really buy downtrending channels, but it's extremely evident. We also have a very clear support area. And again, I'm going to go with that. Earnings beat the shit out of it. Hard. And it ran up really hard. So again, we have this worst case. You lose 3%. Oh God. But you can see our first major resistance is right about here. Look at all this price action. Stopping it, stopping it, stopping it, stopping it, stopping it. Right here. Your bad resistance is 5% away. A full move, which is done multiple times, is 12. So we're risking 3 to 12, 4 to 1. It's a good pickup. I don't love downtrending stocks, but again, I don't really necessarily hate them in this kind of market as well, especially given how close we are to the top of our resistances on the S&P. So this is definitely a good pickup. It's definitely has plenty of room to run. Even the POC, which is going to be a hard resistance, 6-7% away. It's a good hold. I like it. It does consolidate down here, so it may take a few days, but I like it a lot. Let's check the indicators. Enchante. We can see that the SMA lines and the EMA lines are going to be above it. That's going to be a problemo moving forward. So again, I would definitely buy in now, and then you get to curtail your reward of that. So aim for 5%, 6%. If it does bust through these, it's a great play. If you want to wait for it to get above both of these, that's fine too. RSI is fair. Stock is low. Vortex just went green. A bit of a mixed bag, but just given the price action, VG, I like it a lot. So there are your 9 really good plays. Again, SPPI in particular, you must wait for earnings, and I'm pretty sure it's COGT, I think. No, NFE. NFE has earnings as well. Wait for those for sure. If you're a beginner, you can play any of those with some confidence, but you must only play 1 or 2. I don't want you guys going in balls deep head first and being like, I got this, baby, got 9 new stocks, let's go. And then opening bell happens and it's red, and you're like, and you start freaking out, right? So buy 1, buy 2, be patient. The next ones are ones I've called before. Take 20, 30 seconds each, or they're intermediate. They're a little bit harder to read, or they're a little bit, there's something missing, right? So I like this a lot for intermediate traders. Beginners, turn your glasses, take your glasses, go from, I want to buy these. Take your glasses, and you want to go to education mode, right? We're going to have our glasses like this right now. Okay, we're going to go just to learn, not to buy. Can you imagine if I wear my glasses like this? I'm dripped. So what we're going to do, beginners, do not buy these unless you have full confidence. Intermediate traders, I trust you. Let's check these out. So first is age. I called it last week. I'm not overly confident that it broke the 200. I'm not overly confident. I would definitely wait for a crossover. This comes back and breaks the 200. We can get back into this bad boy. So again, I like it a lot. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. But again, a little bit harder to read. Intermediates, I trust you. XU I've called multiple times. It's been good to us. It's still in our loading zone. So again, nothing has changed. It's just a really good horizontal play. If we see some life, definitely go along. Make sure you have your reward curtailed to our 50 EMA line. This is right above it. It may hit that and die. Hence the reward price taking's right at it. So again, if you hit it and you don't show any life, do not be afraid to take your profits off of this. CLDR, this is a difficult one to read. This is definitely one that a beginner should not be touching because it's going to make your week or break your week. And we can see that it's an obvious downtrend. But we can also see that this obvious downtrend is also what's looking almost like a broadening wedge. So is this going to last forever? It's not. It will not last forever. But this will also be an intense sell-off. And do we see life? We do. We also see life over here and life over here. So again, am I completely sold? I'm not. This is a very strong support area though. If it does live here and show some good life early on, easily can make 5, 10, 15%. So again, CLDR, if it does collapse like $10, shit yeah. But if it's going to kind of like bounce back and forth, Beginners, don't touch it. Intermediates, I do kind of trust you. DHR, again, not going to spend much time. This support is dummy strong, and it's sitting at it. It's an expensive stock. This is a blue chip, for sure. You can go on your FinViz and see DHR is one of the biggest ones. It's right here, right? You can see easily 7-8%. Very doable. It's very doable. It can't break the 50. Let it break the 50. It has a history of consolidating sideways, and then big move. Consolidating sideways, big move. Consolidating sideways, big move. And what we're doing, consolidating sideways. And so you need to have a risk management policy, you need to have a stop loss. But this thing does take off, which it's known to do. Could be a great play for you. GPL is also, it's a little high. I want to see it get down to 0.8 cents. And again, you can kind of look at this like it's 85, 88. Like you can use like instead of not 0.95, it's $95, $97, right? It can be translated in that, but it's a very cheap stock. For the love of God, do not throw a bunch of money at this. If you put in a bunch of money, this thing tanks on you. 14% is a lot if you have a butt ton of shares. So GPL, a really good area to buy into. I like it a lot. Could be a little bit cheaper though. HESM is right at the 200. This is a 10 out of 10 play. I just called it before. But look at this. This is why I track volume profile. Watch this. Studies, load volume profile. Where's this at now? Oh, snap. The whole volume has moved up, showing that people are willing to pay more and sell it for more than they were before. And our POC has shifted up almost $4, showing that folks are waiting and willing to battle over here. You have a classic B shape. B shapes are bullish, especially the POC is in the top one, and you're in the top one. So this is a 10 out of 10 now, based off the volume profile alone, given what I like to see in it. So strong support, POC's above it, plenty of room to run up. 7-8%, not going to really, make your whole week, but this is a great setup. It is definitely broadening, wedging out, but it's a really close channel, and so this may easily see $24, $25. HESM is a great setup. I just called it before. IAA is the same exact way I've called it before. It just can't break above the two lines, and if it can get above both these and hold, retest it, and then take off, now we're going to be in business. So again, let it cross above both EMA lines. It's a really nice uptrend. It's doing really well. Let it get above that, and it should be okay. LULU is definitely still downtrending. I'm not going to put a lot of emphasis into how it's going to do short-term. Long-term, LULU is a great pickup. It's a fantastic company. If you want to get a good value on a good blue chip, LULU, here it is for you, right? But this is a really strong support area. Really strong. Okay, it's holding very well. Easily can see another 4 or 5% on this push up. And if it does break above this uptrend, if it does break above the 200, now we're going to be in real business. And again, it's holding above the 50. It broke above it to retest it. So if it can live here and keep going, it can be a really good play. It's a bit trickier. So intermediates, you can play with this. Beginners, get the hell away from this. Don't touch this. MRSM, we called it earlier. That's why there's blocks over here. These are for my Discord folks. These are your price targets and stuff. We can see it's still there. Can easily break the 50 and make a 10% push before even seeing the 200, right? So it has really good movement. It has a really good looking support line. It has a really good looking pattern. It's a descending triangle. That's not perfect. You don't want to see that. But again, looking at the long term, we can see this is a very strong support. Even back here. And over here must have had some hard times. The dog days are over. It came back up. Sick Florence and the Machine reference. But it looks really good over here. I like it a lot. NVDA, watch this. This broke the trend line, so what am I going to do? Delete it. I'm not going to hold on to it and be like, oh God, it's dead. It's gone. So we can see it's holding the support greatly. It's a very expensive stock, but you kind of pay a premium for these really nice setups and support areas. Can easily see 540. You buy one stock, you make 40 bucks off it. Not a bad setup. It's getting a little overbought. It's getting up there. So you got to make consolidate for a few days over here and then take off. But NVDA, it's a good pickup. Plant is going to be a 10 out of 10 in like 3 days if it does keep dropping. So it's a really good setup. Let's take our line here and duplicate it. Or just redraw channel's fine too, I guess. Oh, there it is. Come over here and see that it does line up very, very well for a channel. So that's a rarity over this long period of time. My dog is snoring. It's getting close to the 200. It breaks the 200. It breaks it, okay? It does also bounce near it, so let's not get ahead of ourselves. If it shows some green tomorrow, okay. okay, plant, we'll bite, we'll play. Okay, we like that. But if it does tank further, then it comes down to like, you know, the 77s and the 76s. Like Birdman, rub my hands together. Daddy likes that. So PLNT looks really good. Just give it a day or two. And last is RLA. We've called RLA before. This is a broadening wedge. This will not last forever. The chances that this bad boy is going to make a move up to the 70s, unlikely. So this is not going to last forever. If it does come up and make one more high, if it makes a higher low, it comes up here and then comes down, that will prove that this resistance line is no longer viable, and we got to then look for a new pattern to be forming. And we have a really good area of support. This is from that huge sell-off the last few weeks, and now it's showing some life. Do I want to see maybe 10%? Great. It breaks with the 50. Give me my 10%, my 12%. I'm going to get in, get out, and call it a day. But RLA is still very viable. And there you guys have it. We have 10 really good plays for beginners, a bunch of extra ones that we've called that are very viable. I'm going to do a monthly recap video probably this month and get back to doing those kinds of things. We had a crap ton hit our price targets. Even on that big sell-off, they came back and hit what we're supposed to hit. And a lot of that comes down to proper risk versus reward. No one really talks about that. They always talk about, yeah, you can see that the RLA, that's a 65 and we're at 35, so the reward's like 80%, looks really good. That's not how it's supposed to go. You're supposed to try and really curtail these things into reasonable price action goals. We can see in the bunch of these, I'm hitting around the first or second strong resistance. I'm not going to try and hold for 6 months, right? I want to get 8, 10, 12, 14%, get in, get out, and then again become liquid and keep this moving, right? A huge thing that works for us on this channel is that we're extremely honest with ourselves and extremely honest with our setups. We find A1 setups as a group, right? And we come here, we chart them correctly, and we have realistic goals and realistic rules. A lot of y'all are trading without any kind of rules. You're just kind of going for these GME plays, these CCIV plays, these sandal plays, and you're going to get burned because you don't have honest, good setups. A lot of these, even just educationally, this whole channel is educational. I'm not giving financial advice. I'm giving educational advice. If you can educationally and intelligently learn from these and what I'm seeing and apply these, you're going to do 10 times better already, right? So that's the whole purpose of this. Great setups, great risk versus reward, and a great overall honest due diligence technically and fundamentally. With that being said, if you enjoy this content, once again, please subscribe, like the video, comment, even be like, hey, this is for the algorithm, I love you, XOXO, I love your hair, your beard, it's a different color though than your normal hair, you look kind of weird. That's cool. Do that. All right, and if you really enjoy it, again, 7-day free trial to the Discord. I don't care if you join. I'm not going to be sitting here and harping you, but if you really enjoy it, you know, look into it. A lot of folks have so far tried the 7-day trial. 80% of them stay and they enjoy the whole entire community. I do newsletters, I do updates and stuff. And again, you're not paying me for the advice. I don't give advice. You're paying me for the education, right? And if you can pay me for the community and that kind of stuff, and I reinvest almost all of it back into the community. So if you want to check it out, great. If you don't, also great. I'm not going to be offended. But if you really enjoy this kind of content, let me know. Otherwise, have a good rest of your Sunday. Be blessed, be healthy, be well. I'm glad y'all woke up today, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks.